He was the founder of the largest contiguous empire the world has ever known, a leader whose conquest stretched from the heart of Asia to the gates of Europe. His name echoes across history, synonymous with power, fear, and ambition. But Genghis Khan was more than a conqueror. His death in 1227 marked the end of one era, but the beginning of an empire's everlasting legacy, one that reshaped the world in ways we still feel today. Join us as we uncover the true legacy of the man who built an empire that changed the course of history forever. Genghis Khan was born around 1162 near the Onon River in what is now Mongolia. His birth name was Temujin, meaning iron or blacksmith. According to legend, he was born grasping a blood clot in his fist, a sign of future greatness. His father, Yesuge, was a minor chieftain of the Borjigin clan, and his mother, Hoylun, was a strong, resourceful woman. Temujin's early years were marked by both privilege and hardship, as his family lived in relative comfort compared to the nomadic tribes around them. However, when Temujin was just 9 years old, tragedy struck. His father was poisoned by the Tatar tribe after a failed attempt to negotiate peace with them. This event set off a chain reaction that would profoundly change the course of his life. With his father's death, Temujin's family was left vulnerable and isolated. Many of their allies abandoned them, and they were left to fend for themselves in the harsh Mongolian steppe. As a result, Temujin's family faced extreme hardship, struggling to find food and shelter. His mother, Hoylun, took the lead in raising her children, but they were frequently at risk from neighboring tribes. During this time, Temujin's resilience and determination began to take shape. Around 1177, when Temujin was about 15 years old, his life took a dramatic turn. He was captured by the Taichi Ud, a rival Mongol tribe. At the time, Temujin was with a small group of followers, and his capture was likely due to his growing influence and potential to unite the Mongol tribes. The Taichi Ud, who were part of the broader Mongol confederation, saw him as a threat and enslaved him. Temujin was taken to their camp, where he endured harsh treatment. Some accounts suggest he was treated as a laborer, forced to herd animals and perform menial tasks. The experience of being bound and subjected to cruelty was humiliating, especially for someone of his noble bloodline. Despite this, Temujin never lost his drive to escape and eventually found an opportunity. With the help of a fellow captive or a sympathetic young man, often identified as Sokoi or another unnamed figure, he managed to break free. His escape was a turning point. Returning to his family, he vowed to never again be enslaved and set his sights on revenge against those who had wronged him. This experience profoundly shaped his worldview. He became fiercely determined to unite the Mongol tribes and establish a powerful empire that would prevent anyone from ever having the power to enslave him or his people again. By the time Temujin was in his late teens, he had begun to gather a small group of followers, initially from his own clan and later from others. His leadership was based not on birthright or wealth, but on his ability to inspire loyalty and his reputation for strength and courage. He soon formed a lasting bond with Jamuka, another young leader, and the two fought together in several battles. However, their friendship would eventually fracture over differing views on leadership, setting the stage for a fierce rivalry that would define the course of Temujin's life. In these formative years, Temujin's early experiences of loss, hardship, and captivity forged a resilient leader with an unyielding sense of justice and determination. His time in captivity, in particular, would instill in him the lessons of survival, revenge, and the importance of loyalty, principles that would shape his future as Genghis Khan, the ruler of one of the largest empires in history. After escaping from captivity, Temujin, now determined to become a powerful leader, began to rebuild his life. He returned to his family, vowing never again to be at the mercy of rival tribes. This period marked the beginning of his transformation from a young outcast to a unifying force that would eventually shape the future of the Mongol Empire. Temujin's early rise was characterized by his ability to form strategic alliances and build a loyal following. In the years following his escape, he focused on gathering the remnants of his people and forging connections with other Mongol clans. One of his first alliances was with Togrul, the Khan of the Karaites. Togrul was a powerful figure in the Mongol steppes and a respected leader. Temujin's alliance with him proved crucial, as Togrul would help him in his early struggles for power. During this time, Temujin also strengthened his bond with his blood brother Jamukha, a fellow Mongol warrior who had shared a similar vision of unity among the Mongol tribes. Together, they initially fought as allies, overcoming rivals and proving their strength in battle. However, their relationship began to sour, as they started to differ on how the Mongol tribes should be governed. By the time Temujin was in his mid-20s, the relationship between him and Jamukha had grown tense. Jamukha believed in the traditional system of aristocratic rule, where noble families held most of the power. Temujin, however, wanted a more meritocratic system, where leaders were chosen based on ability, loyalty, and skill, rather than birthright. Their differences came to a head in 1187, when they faced off in the Battle of the Bohai River. Temujin's forces were defeated by Jamukha's larger army, and in the aftermath, Jamukha captured 70 of Temujin's warriors. In a brutal act, Jamukha had these men boiled alive, a gruesome display meant to demoralize Temujin. Despite this, Temujin's following remained loyal, and his reputation for resilience and fairness continued to grow. In the years that followed, Temujin would rally more followers, and by 1201, his army was strong enough to challenge Jamukha again. In a decisive confrontation, Temujin emerged victorious, and many of Jamukha's followers abandoned him. This victory marked a major turning point in Temujin's rise to power. Not only did it solidify his reputation as a capable and fearless leader, but it also sent a clear message that he would not tolerate cruelty and injustice. By 1201, Temujin had defeated or neutralized many of his enemies, including Jamukha. He began a systematic campaign to unite the various Mongol tribes under his leadership. Using his military genius, he implemented new strategies that focused on mobility, discipline, and innovation, giving his forces a decisive edge over rival clans. Temujin's army was highly organized, and he promoted warriors based on ability and loyalty rather than clan affiliation. As he conquered other Mongol tribes, Temujin adopted policies that promoted meritocracy and loyalty. He offered rewards to those who showed unwavering allegiance to him and punished betrayal ruthlessly. He abolished the old tribal divisions that had previously kept the Mongol people fractured and, in their place, built a strong, unified force that could rival any empire on earth. A key factor in his success was his ability to bring former enemies into his fold. Many leaders who had once opposed him were either spared or integrated into his growing empire. They were granted power and responsibility based on their loyalty to him rather than their previous status. This earned him the support of many Mongol leaders and warriors who were tired of the constant infighting that had plagued their people for centuries. In 1206, after years of uniting and consolidating the Mongol tribes, Temujin was declared Genghis Khan, meaning universal ruler. This was a monumental moment as it marked the creation of the Mongol Empire, the largest contiguous empire in history. The title of Khan was not just symbolic. It signified Genghis Khan's absolute power and authority over the Mongols, and it marked the beginning of his conquests beyond the Mongolian steppes. By 1206, Temujin had achieved the unthinkable. He united the Mongol tribes and became their supreme leader. From this point onward, his ambition turned toward building an empire that would stretch across much of Asia and beyond. His rise to power, rooted in struggle, innovation, and strategic alliances, laid the foundation for one of the most formidable empires in history. After uniting the Mongol tribes under his leadership in 1206, Genghis Khan embarked on a series of military campaigns that would reshape the course of history. His reign was defined by his unmatched military genius, his strategic alliances, and his ability to govern a rapidly expanding empire. Genghis Khan's conquests spanned much of Eurasia, creating the largest contiguous empire the world had ever seen. However, his reign was not just marked by conquest. It was also a time of political and administrative reform that laid the foundation for future Mongol rulers. One of Genghis Khan's first major military campaigns after unification was the conquest of the Jin dynasty in northern China. The Jin dynasty had long been a rival of the Mongols, and their control over northern China presented a significant obstacle to Genghis Khan's ambition to expand his empire. In 1211, Genghis Khan launched a full-scale invasion of the Jin Empire. His army, though small compared to the vast Jin forces, was highly disciplined and well-organized. Genghis Khan's use of fast-moving cavalry and innovative tactics, such as feigned retreats and surprise attacks, proved to be devastating. His forces quickly overwhelmed the Jin defenses and captured key cities, including Zhongdu, modern-day Beijing, in 1215. The Mongols would later establish a lasting presence in northern China, although the Jin dynasty itself would eventually collapse in the face of Mongol onslaught. The Khwarezmian Empire, located in modern-day Iran, Uzbekistan, and Turkmenistan, was a major rival to Genghis Khan's growing power. The conflict with the Khwarezmians began when Genghis Khan attempted to open diplomatic relations and establish trade with the Khwarezmian Shah Ala-ad-Din Muhammad. However, the Shah's response was one of hostility. First, he executed a Mongol trade envoy, and then he killed a second group of ambassadors sent by Genghis Khan. This act of treachery was seen as a direct insult to Genghis Khan's authority. In retaliation, Genghis Khan launched one of the most destructive campaigns in history, beginning in 1219. His army systematically destroyed Khwarezmian cities, including Bukhara, Samarkand, Nishapur, and Merv. The Mongols employed brutal tactics, but they were also known for their efficiency. They captured entire cities, killed tens of thousands of civilians and soldiers, and used psychological warfare to instill fear. The Khwarezmian Empire's capital, Urgench, was razed to the ground, and the entire region was left in ruins. Despite his ruthlessness, Genghis Khan also spared some intellectuals, engineers, and artisans, absorbing them into his empire to improve the Mongol state's technological and administrative capabilities. While his military campaigns were ferocious, Genghis Khan was also a visionary ruler who understood the importance of governance. As his empire expanded, he implemented significant reforms that ensured the stability and longevity of the Mongol state. Genghis Khan established a legal code known as the Yasa, which was a set of laws that governed military conduct, trade, social behavior, and relations between conquered peoples. It was strict and enforced loyalty, discipline, and unity among the Mongols. The Yasa promoted religious tolerance, protected merchants and travelers, and prohibited the killing of civilians during warfare. Genghis Khan created a system where leaders and officials were appointed based on merit, not aristocracy. He promoted talented individuals, regardless of their social class or ethnic background, to positions of power. This system helped him build a loyal and effective administration, which contributed to the stability of the vast empire. The Mongol Empire required efficient communication and organization to manage its vast territory. Genghis Khan established an extensive network of relay stations and messengers across his empire. These relay stations allowed for rapid communication between different parts of the empire, ensuring that orders and information could be transmitted quickly and effectively. Genghis Khan believed in religious freedom and often incorporated the best ideas from different cultures into his empire. He invited scholars, craftsmen, and traders from different backgrounds into his court, fostering a cultural exchange between the East and West. This openness helped create a thriving trade network across the Silk Road, which connected Europe, the Middle East, and East Asia. In the years following the destruction of the Khwarezmian Empire, Genghis Khan sent his generals Subutai and Jebe on a campaign westward that extended Mongol influence into the Caucasus and Eastern Europe. In 1220, they launched a series of successful raids into the Caucasus and defeated the combined armies of the Kipchak, Russian principalities, and Poland. Their most significant victory came at the Battle of the Kalka River in 1223, where the Mongols decisively defeated a coalition of Russian and Kipchak forces. This victory demonstrated the power and reach of the Mongol army, and it sent a shockwave through Europe. Although Genghis Khan's direct involvement in these campaigns was limited, his generals' success further extended Mongol power into the westernmost parts of Eurasia. In the spring of 1227, as Genghis Khan was nearing the final stages of his long reign of conquest, he led his forces on a campaign against the Western Xia dynasty, a regime in northwestern China that had been one of his long-standing enemies. The Western Xia had resisted Mongol domination for many years, and during this campaign, Genghis Khan fell ill and his health began to deteriorate rapidly. Accounts of his death vary, with some historians suggesting that he was injured after falling from his horse, while others propose that he succumbed to a fever or an infection, possibly exacerbated by the stress of war and his advancing age. Some sources even suggest that he was wounded in battle during the campaign against the Western Xia, leading to his decline. To protect the morale of his troops and to prevent panic, his death was initially kept a secret from his army. His generals continued to lead the campaign as if their great Khan was still alive. By the time the Mongol forces had captured the Western Xia capital, Yinchuan, Genghis Khan had already passed away. It is said that Genghis Khan's death was mourned in private by his closest confidants, but he had prepared for this moment. Before his death, he had made provisions for his empire to be passed on to his sons and grandsons. Ojedi, his third son, was chosen to succeed him as the great Khan, ensuring that the Mongol Empire would not fracture immediately after his passing. Genghis Khan's funeral was shrouded in secrecy, as was customary for such a powerful leader. According to legend, his body was returned to Mongolia and buried in an undisclosed location, one that remains a mystery to this day. The tomb of Genghis Khan is believed to be hidden somewhere in the Onon River Valley or nearby, but its exact location has never been found. It is said that the Mongol funeral procession was deliberately secretive, with the soldiers who buried him having killed anyone who came too close to the site to ensure that the location remained undiscovered. The area was later abandoned, and the burial site was intentionally hidden from history. Genghis Khan's death in 1227 did not mark the end of his influence. Rather, it marked the beginning of the second phase of the Mongol Empire's expansion. His legacy, however, was far more than just military conquest. It was the foundation for one of the most extraordinary empires in world history, characterized by political, economic, and cultural transformation across Eurasia. Though Genghis Khan was no longer alive, his empire continued to expand under the leadership of his successors, particularly his son Ogedei Khan, who became the Great Khan after his death. Ogedei continued his father's policies of conquest, sending Mongol armies into Eastern Europe, the Middle East, and further into China. The Mongols conquered the Jin dynasty in China, the Kievan Rus in Russia, parts of the Caucasus, and the Khwarezmian Empire in Central Asia, extending the Mongol Empire to its greatest territorial extent. Under the leadership of his grandsons Kublai Khan and Hulagu Khan, the Mongol Empire would eventually stretch from the Pacific Ocean in the east to Europe in the west, from the Arctic Ocean in the north to the Indian Ocean in the south, encompassing vast regions and diverse peoples. Genghis Khan's reign had a profound impact on the culture, economy, and politics of Eurasia. One of the most significant elements of his legacy was the establishment of the Pax Mongolica, or Mongol Peace, which allowed for unprecedented stability across a vast portion of the world. This peace helped facilitate trade, communication, and cultural exchange between East and West, particularly along the Silk Road, the ancient trade route that stretched from China to Europe. Genghis Khan and his successors recognized the importance of trade and the movement of goods and ideas. The Mongols actively encouraged trade, protecting merchants and ensuring the safety of travelers across their empire. As a result, the Silk Road flourished under Mongol rule, bringing Chinese silk, spices, and other luxury goods to Europe, and introducing European technologies and ideas to China and Central Asia. The exchange of knowledge, technology, and culture during this period had a lasting influence on the development of both Eastern and Western civilizations. The Mongols also facilitated the transfer of technological innovations across cultures. The Mongols adopted Chinese gunpowder and siege technologies, which they used with devastating effect in their conquests. They also embraced innovations such as papermaking and the use of the compass for navigation, which spread throughout the empire. Genghis Khan's image over time became symbolic of Mongol pride and strength. In Mongolia, he is revered as a national hero, and his legacy is celebrated as a symbol of the unity, power, and strength of the Mongol people. His impact on Mongolian identity is so profound that the country's capital, Ulaanbaatar, has several monuments to his memory, and his image can be found on coins and statues throughout the country. Internationally, Genghis Khan is often viewed through a more complex lens. While he is seen as a brutal conqueror who inflicted immense suffering on his enemies, He is also recognized for the unification of the Mongol people and the creation of an empire that brought significant cultural and economic changes. His conquests were pivotal in shaping the course of world history, and his legacy is still studied and debated by historians today. One of the more remarkable aspects of Genghis Khan's legacy is his genetic impact. Due to his many marriages and relationships, it is believed that he has more living descendants than any other man in history. Some genetic studies suggest that about 1 in 200 men alive today may be his direct descendants, a testament to his influence both as a ruler and as a progenitor of a vast lineage. Genghis Khan's death in 1227 did not mark the end of his influence. It marked the continuation of his empire's expansion, transformation, and impact on the world. He created an empire that spanned across much of Eurasia, fostering economic growth, cultural exchange, and the spread of knowledge. His legacy is a dual one. He is remembered as one of history's most ruthless conquerors, but also as a visionary leader who unified a vast and diverse land under a single banner. His death did not diminish his legend, rather it cemented his place in history as one of the most formidable figures the world has ever known. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the life, death, and enduring legacy of Genghis Khan. His story reminds us that even the most formidable empires leave behind echoes of culture, innovation, and human resilience. If you enjoyed this exploration, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, keep seeking the stories that shape our world.